him or herself.
Good morning, and welcome to the second of our inaugural season of alumTalks Academics. It is indeed a great day to present to you the panelists who represent the Department of Natural Sciences and Environmental Health. In doing this panel, the Office of Academic Affairs and the Mississippi Valley State National Alumni Association partnered to bring you this feat. I am Abigail Newsom, the Associate Vice President of Academic Affairs, and I am honored to be the host for today's event. Today, the panelists are superb. They are graduates who have gone through the doors of Fielding L. Wright, as many of you have in the past, and succeeded in their professional journey. They are here today to share their experience, some of those not so well, but most very great, to provide inspiration to our students who follow in their footsteps, to also provide mentorship. Each of the panelists have agreed to provide 10 hours of mentorship for the students in the natural science department. In addition to this, they've also agreed to share some of their treasures. Some of what they're sharing today may seem familiar, while other things may seem distant. Regardless, we ask that all keep an open mind so that their words and advice can be accepted, such that we may find something that can assist with our journey toward professional development. Please feel free to post any questions you may have in the chat box of the platform from which you're viewing this event. As the panelists join, we ask that they introduce themselves and share their area of study, as well as their hometown, year of graduation, and their present occupation, and anything that they think might be a unique feature of their journey. Okay, we now are going to welcome our panelists to the screen. First, we have coming forward Mr. David McLemore.
Hello, how you doing?
We're fine, Mr. McLemore. How are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is David McLemore. So I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I graduated from Mississippi Valley State with a BS in the master's degree back in '92 and '94. I'm originally from Greenville, Mississippi. I'm born in Oxford, but raised in Greenville. Moved to Greenville when I was 9 years old. I mean, 9 months old. 9 months old. And I ended up getting my career started at the Department of Labor, OSHA. So I'm a federal OSHA inspector. And my common name, of course, is industrial hygienist, but nonetheless, I'm a federal OSHA inspector. So I'm one of the guys that, you know, the employers see show up whenever there's a complaint or, you know, there's an issue about safety and health issues there. So that's pretty much what I do. And I've been working with the agency for 25 years, it'll be 26 years next month. But I started in 1995, right from Mississippi Valley State Natural Sciences. So pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you so much, Mr. McLemore. We're glad to have you. And next we have Dr. Alexandra Markovets.
Hello, everyone. Hello,
Hi, Dr. Please tell us about something about yourself and your journey.
Well, I am originally from Russia. I came to the United States, and it had been in particular during Mississippi Valley State University master's program in bioinformatics in 2008. And I graduated in 2010, moved to Arkansas, Little Rock, where I was working on my PhD in bioinformatics area. And once I graduated from there, I joined a pharmaceutical company, AstraZeneca, which is based in Waltham, which is the greater Boston area, Massachusetts. And I've been there since then for already 7 years. And currently I'm a principal scientist in bioinformatics in oncology field.
Well, thank you, Dr. Markovets, and welcome. Next, we have Dr. Sheree Farmer-Dixon.
Hello. I am a 1986 graduate of Mississippi Valley. I am originally from Indianola, Mississippi, and I am a dentist. I am currently the dean of the School of Dentistry at Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dixon. And let's join to the screen Dr. Corey Brown. Could you tell us something about yourself, Dr. Brown? Can you hear us, Dr. Brown? Okay, it seems as though we're having little technical difficulties here. So as soon as we get past that, we'll allow Dr. Brown to introduce himself. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll get started with a few questions from our panelists. And if any of you would like to ask any questions, please feel free to do so by placing it in your chat. But we also have another panelist who has arrived, Dr. Vincent Copeland, who will be joining us.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Copeland. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you all doing?
We're doing great. Would you please share, tell us a little bit about yourself, your profession, and your or just background information before we get started with the panel?
Yeah, my name is Vincent H. Copeland, and I'm a graduate of Valley 1980. I'm a graduate of Meharry 87. I did a general practice residency at Meharry Hubbard Hospital and Alvin C. York VA in Murfreesboro. So I've been practicing since about 1987. So I'm an old head. So I have my daughter here with me, Dr. Jasmine Copeland. She graduated from Meharry in 2018. So she's been with me and she's learning a lot, and I'm pleased to have her.
All right. Well,
So
thank
I'm
you.
gonna be probably in and out. Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you both for joining us, and we have back with us Dr. Brown, and we'll allow him to introduce himself. Okay. Well, Dr. Brown, well, we're still having a little technical difficulties with getting on board. All right, but we'll go ahead and get started. So my first question is for Mr. McLemore. What was your favorite part of attending Valley? It could be a class, a project, or people. And do keep in mind that some of the people that taught you are still here at the Valley now. So you gotta be a little nice.
What I would say is the people that I met when I was there. That includes teachers and students alike. I was in a lot of activities when I was at Valley. I was in the band. I was in a fraternity. I was in Air Force ROTC. I was in a lot of different things. But some of those relationships you carry with you when you leave the Valley, and some of them become part of your network. And that's one thing that I found out was very important after leaving Valley is to have a really good, solid network, because you never know who you may need to call on, for just advice, expertise, or even a leg up on a few things. So that was one thing that I remember about all the friends, because Valley is like a family. And so I definitely took that on to my working life as well. And it's helped me tremendously at my job and what I do now.
Well, that's great. All right. So, Dr. Copeland, because I know you mentioned that you're going to be sort of in and out most of the time. Having been here, gone to school here at Valley, and been around Valley for some time, how do you feel your experience at Valley helped you determine your profession after you graduated from here? Was it coursework, internship? What really made the difference in your selection of going into dentistry?
Well, after my freshman year, I attended a summer program at Meharry, the biomedical science program. So I was able to get exposed to the different areas of medicine, dentistry. I was able to compare myself to other students from different universities. You had the years, you had the Fisk students, Morehouse, you had the UCLA students, you had students from a variety of places. So based on that experience, that had a lot to do with me selecting, first of all, to come to Meharry and also to choose dentistry.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Copeland. So, as a follow-up to that question, I'd also like to present that question to Dr. Farmer Dixon.
I guess just for me, the thing that I really remember about being at Mississippi Valley was I'm a believer of all work and no play makes us boring or going crazy. So I always knew I had to keep things in perspective, and I had to study hard. But football season and homecoming was always the highlight for me, and being able to see all of the people coming back to Valley and hearing the different stories and the different memories and the reminiscing was always the highlight for me.
When was the last time you attended homecoming, Dr. Dixon?
It was year before last, before the pandemic.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So I guess you had a great time, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
imagine. So I know many of our panelists are or were involved in many of the extracurricular activities on campus here. Dr. Farmer, were you involved in other things, extracurricular, fraternities, band, anything?
Yes, I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, so I'm an active member of that. I am. I was passionate growing up about Girl Scouts, so I'm a Girl Scout leader for cadet troop and a senior troop. I work with the youth ministry in my church. I'm a member of Links organization, which is another social organization. So I'm active there. So on the I guess non-professional side, I think it's very important that we're engaged in the community, regardless of what profession you're in. You're engaged in the community and you're giving back. And so for me, being a part working with Girl Scouting, I'm able to mentor young girls. Being involved with the church and the youth ministry, I'm able to again work with young people and help them along the way, just as people helped me along the way. And so, of course, there are numerous professional organizations that, of course, I'm actively involved in and have leadership positions in those as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dixon. All right, so now I have a question for Dr. Markovitz. All right, so Dr. Markovitz, you mentioned that you are from Russia, and Bina, Mississippi Valley was your first stop here in the United States. So could you tell us a little bit about what inspired you or who inspired you to come to Valley? And tell us about your journey, how you got to Mississippi Valley State University.
Well, what led me to Mississippi Valley State University is this unique opportunity to join to join this master program in bioinformatics, which was in 2008, is quite a unique field. It wasn't even in Russia that many universities that offering this particular area of study. I was brand new, and I found it quite exciting to have this opportunity to actually learn and to join and learn about this field. And then I saw lots of potential opportunities in this type of bioinformatics field. So, and I took this chance and came, and I was very happy with the provided opportunity to learn and apply my skills in bioinformatics. It wasn't straightforward because I have my undergrad in computer science, so it was a new course for me that I had to study. But with the help of professors and instructors in bioinformatics program and at Valley, I was actually able to gain this required set of knowledge and expertise, and then move forward.
Okay. Well, we do have a question from the audience, and that question was, or is, I should say, what are some great entry-level career fields for students who may be interested in bioinformatics but not in the computational science? And this is for Dr. Markovitz.
Well, bioinformatics field, it's their area where actually multiple disciplines combine together, and it's covering biology, microbiology in particular, computer science, as well as statistics. And so, because all these areas allow you to answer these biological questions that needs to be addressed by using computational power and statistical methods. It's a little bit challenging if you are interested in bioinformatics but not really in computer science to find a path in this career. But I gotta tell you that computer science is quite exciting in this area, and you should consider to actually open your mind and focus to see the application, because it's quite remarkable with current technology how much biological data we're generating, and it's not really feasible for human just process it by hand. So we do really need to rely on the power of computers.
Thank you, Dr. Markovitz. So I see we have with us Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and your time here at Valley. Okay, it seems like he's having a little bit more technical difficulties than we anticipated. All right, but this question is for Dr. Dixon, and followed by Mr. McLemore. Oftentimes, we're in the classroom learning some textbook things, but as we all know, as we've gotten older in our profession, there's not one single curriculum that provides everything you need for your endeavor in your field.
Mhm.
So what do you recommend would be something that students would need, skills that the students would need to gain in order to go forth in a career, or just in general to make themselves more marketable?
I think that, as you said, there's not a one size fits all. And so, of course, you want to always gain all of the knowledge that you can, all of the experience that you can. And so as you're going through school, a lot of times, especially when you come in that first year, some people are certain about the path that they want to take. Some are not. And the way that you can help decide what it is that you want to do is by taking advantage or taking opportunities to shadow individuals, regardless of what profession it is. There are many people that will be happy to talk to you about their careers, the road that they took to get to their career, and to have you shadow them. And so take advantage of those opportunities. A lot of times now, specifically as it relates to medicine and dentistry, one of the things that is a part of the application process is what type of shadowing experiences you have. That gives an indication of, one, you try to find out more information from a bird's eye view of the profession that you say you're interested in, but it also gives you insight, better insight that you're not going to get from the traditional courses that you will take while you're in school. And so making certain that, of course, all universities, and one of the things that I did like about Mississippi Valley is that, especially within the science department, creating opportunities to have individuals to come in to talk about their career path and share their pearls of wisdom. And as a student, sometimes like, I'm not interested in that. But I went anyway, and every time it was always very enlightening, and I learned more information than I knew before I went in there. And so when those opportunities are afforded to you, take advantage of those opportunities. You don't have anything to lose and everything to gain from participating in those.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McLemore, what would you say regarding the environmental health sciences? Okay, I think
Oh, can you hear me?
yes, sir, I can hear you now.
Okay. One of the things that benefited me greatly was computer skills. So, matter of fact, it's one of the reasons why I end up going to the top of the list, because I have extensive background. Back then, it was called, Word Perfect. Word was kind of new. I'm really taking myself here. Databases and things like that. Also, a willingness to learn, the right attitude, and of course, the ability to get along with others and also learn from others. So a lot of those skills, I got, of course, right there at Mississippi Valley State University. So it helped me greatly, helped me excel very quickly up the ladder to where I am today. And I owe a lot at Mississippi Valley. So yeah, any computer skills, every profession might be a little different, but for me, computer skills was a definitely big benefit when I got in, and also being able to talk to people, because my job is very, very extremely interactive with people. So you have to be able to, talk to them, explain to them complicated concepts about law and what they need to be, abiding to without, getting them upset, so, conflict resolution, all that kind of stuff kind of plays into it. But yeah, those are some of the things that it'll be, need to, if you're good at that, that'll help you big time. Thanks.
I like to say something. Something that I thought about is, when we're going through, especially you're going through biology and microbiology, and you think maybe those courses are not really relevant, or you're learning that material. And one of the biggest lessons for me that really hit home for me in the course of this pandemic that we're going through now, I have given, you would think, okay, what does a dentist have to do with COVID-19 and testing? That's a medical thing. But my background is also in public health. And I don't know how many countless numbers of talks that I have given on the virus itself and explaining how it works and how it infects, and the vaccine and how the vaccine infects. But the foundational information, the science of that, of how the body fights against foreign particles, and how the vaccine creates antibodies in the body, how your body has antibodies. That's information that I learned in basic biology at Mississippi Valley, and being able to build up on that. And so it really gives an appreciation for the foundational information that you get, and how it can relate to life and the life things that we're dealing with currently. Now, of course, it's the vaccine, but it was the foundation that I received at Valley that afforded me the opportunity to be able to go to dental school, to be successful in dental school, and it's helped me to continue on what I'm doing now.
Can I comment on that as well? Just to put a little cherry on top of that as well. I was biology pre-med before I changed over to environmental health, and everything Dr. Farmer just said, I can agree 100%. I had a very good, strong working background about viruses, bacteria, how they get into the body, how they affect the body, et cetera. So I just wanted to go ahead and just put an exclamation point on that, that we got a very good background on that kind of information from Mississippi Valley State. So just want to comment on that.
Okay. All right, thanks, Mr. McLemore. So Dr. Copeland, there was a question earlier from a student. Basically, how do you feel, and this is for most of you, many of our students are thinking about going into the health sciences, being physicians and dentists and so forth. And so oftentimes they're a little afraid of that field. Perhaps they've not been around a lot of people who are in the profession, as you previously mentioned, Dr. Dixon. But do you feel that Valley adequately provided you to get to that next step, to be able to take those exams, to get into a medical or dental school, or of those, professional exams you have to take? And how do you recommend students prepare for them? So Dr. Copeland, if you don't mind, would you go first, since we have you back now?
Yeah, I mentioned that I attended the Meharry summer program after my freshman year, and I found out about the program at Valley. It was on there was a flyer up on the bulletin board, and I happened to, be nosy, and I looked at it and I said, there might be something I should look into. So I applied and I was accepted. So I attended the summer program at Meharry after my freshman year, after my sophomore year. My third year, I applied to several programs. Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts had a summer program. Tulane had a program. Ohio State had a program. NYU had a program. So I'm thinking, okay, well, let me try and just see what happens. And by the grace of God, I got in all of them. Every one of the programs I applied to, and I'm from Valley. So I was trying to decide. It was like, okay, which program do I attend? And so somebody told me, hey, so you have no choice. You want to go to the #1 school, and that was Harvard. So I did. I selected that program, and I attended Harvard, and I took anatomy and physiology, and I took genetics. The first week I was there, I was like, I don't need to be here. This stuff is really hard, and I need to be on the plane back to Ilbina. But I studied really hard, but I did well. I got an A in genetics and a B in anatomy and physiology. So, and I came from Valley. So I ended up going back to Valley, and I took genetics again because it was a summer program in Valley. I didn't know they were going to give me credit for it or that type of thing. But they taught genetics at Valley the same way they taught it at Harvard. I made another A. So Valley was preparing me for these programs and these, in these classes, and eventually to go to dental school. So you can get everything you need to go to medical or dental school right there at Mississippi Valley. it's what you got within that's going to be the key.
Okay.
How
Dr.
bad
Mark,
you want it. I mean, so
Dr. Markovitz, you are, not a native-born American. So for you, I'm sure there was some adjustment that you had to go through, and I'm sure you had to take like the GRE or something to get into UALR. So could you tell us how you feel that Valley prepared you for that next step?
I feel like Valley gave me very solid background in order for me to move to the next step. So the skills that I've learned at Valley, I still currently using up to date at this moment, and I'm still finding that very helpful in my day-to-day job that I'm doing. In addition to that, I would like to say that Valley helped me how to communicate my science and how to stay connected with the scientists outside of this university or just my area of expertise. So I had this great opportunity to go and participate at the conferences outside of Mississippi Valley that helped me to expand my network. Actually, I was able to introduce myself to the scientists and instructors in the different universities. And then this definitely helped me to find my next position and move to the next university and eventually to get a job offer in the industry. So this is opportunity that Valley provided me with.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you. And so having said that, there is a question about internships and research and shadowing, and Dr. Dixon sort of alluded to the shadowing before. I see we have Dr. Brown back. So perhaps, Dr. Brown, you can introduce yourself and comment about outside of the classwork, even now at Valley, we still promote internships, we promote research, we promote shadowing and globalization. Could you share with students what you think is the importance of these types of activities for long-term professional development and career goals?
Yes, absolutely. So, hi, Corey Brown. Sorry, having some technical difficulty, but I once sat and you guys in them same. I was there. Dr. News, one of my favorite. I was at that.
Sure.
I'm a native of Cleveland, Mississippi, and I remember the summer of my junior year. One day, Dr. Newsom was one of the ones that pushed me to go to an internship. I spent the summer up at UT doing them. They have a pre-med program, as Dr. Copeland was saying, which really helped me, which allowed me to see what kind of, I guess, where I stood among other students. Because there were students there from Xavier, Dillard, to Tougaloo, but we all were on the same level playing ground. If it wasn't for teachers like Dr. Newsom, who took an active role inspiring us to go to these places, I would have never or want to go to those things. So I definitely recommend, and if anybody wants to come.
So, Dr. Brown.
Yes.
So would you say, so one of the things we also promote, especially in this COVID environment, we realize that everyone's not here working well, and this is for any panelists if you would like to join in. When you look at where we are today, did you all feel confident in what you were going to do for that next step? Dr. Brown, did you know that you were going to position when you started Valley?
So I was blessed. I was second generation medicine. And honestly, probably I feel bad because there was a couple students who were smarter than I was who didn't have the same push. So I think the better, I guess, the higher push that we had in Valley, probably all of us would have gone to medical school. But I mean, I had a doctor at home who was pushing me, so I had to push. I had somebody to tell me because I knew where I was going.
Okay. So, Macklemore, do you think that, is there anything in retrospect, some 5 years since you've graduated from Valley, that you think you would look back and do differently that may make your career better or in a different position at this particular time?
Ah, I don't know. I don't know if I would change anything really, because my path was, everyone has their own path. My path was a very interesting one. Uh, and I'm going to frame this in on the answer to the last question about those internships as well. So I got a lot of experience through internships when I was at Valley. I was there 5 years. I did 4 of those years with internships. It was only 1 year I did not have anywhere to go, and that was the year I did went to summer school my sophomore year. So I always had someone to go. My internships were basically Case Western Reserve University up in Ohio. I did 2 internships with the Environmental Protection Agency, and I did another internship with the U.S. Public Health Service. So all of those kind of helped molded me into what I became. Um, I just kind of thinking back. I mean, I can't really think of anything that would have maybe excelled it further. I mean, I think I had a great run there at Valley. I learned a lot. And, the way I look at Valley is that they prime me to go out and, fish for yourself type of thing. You know what I mean? Because when I left, I was ready to go. I was ready to get out there. I was ready to move. I didn't care if I was in Oregon, Florida, Maine. It didn't matter to me. I was ready to go. So I look at Valley as my launch pad into my profession and other better things. So that's kind of how I look at it.
All right. Would anyone else like to comment?
I think
All right.
when I was, I think when I was, if I were to think back of what I could do differently, I remember when I got to dental school, and there were people there from Morehouse, Spelman, Howard, Xavier, NYU, and I'll be honest, I felt a little intimidated because I felt I was coming from this little small school in Mississippi, and I remember an instructor saying for our first test was a biochemistry exam, and he said, everybody, when you come into dental school, everybody's on the same level playing field. You all are learning the same information. And when we took that first exam, and I just felt like, oh, they're from those bigger schools, those better schools, so they're going to do a whole lot better. And when the results came out, and we were all within the same area, it gave me a level of confidence of I was where I was supposed to be, and that reaffirmed for me that I had really been prepared for dental school, and that Mississippi Valley had prepared me. Where I think that I did have some shortcomings was with standardized tests, and I think that having better training or more skills as it related to standardized tests would have been the one thing that if I could go back and take advantage of the resource areas that could have helped me in those areas. But it's one of those things, you don't know what you don't know at the time. But when I think back now, that is, and even when I talk with people at Valley or at other schools, particularly in Mississippi, I talk about being able to master and practice doing well on those standardized tests. Because unfortunately, when you're going into medicine or dentistry or law or graduate school, you're going to have to deal, just like you had to take the ACT or SAT to get into dental school, to undergrad, you have to still do those if you're going to go beyond your undergraduate level. And so it's not anything that you can get around. And so having more opportunities for improving those skills.
Okay. Thank you. So Dr. Copeland, what is your take on this standardized test that you have to take to get in many of these professional schools?
I guess I have to agree with Dr. Farmer Dixon on that. I think if I had should have done a better job of preparing to take those tests. Now I got better as time went on, but when I took the DAT, I took it. I guess I was really confident. I figured I had a really good GPA. I had all these summer programs under my belt. So I took it, and looking back on it, I should have prepared probably better than what I did, because they have the Kaplan course, they have all these different courses now that you can take, and they had some of them back then.
Mhm.
And I should have taken better advantage of those programs that were offered. So if I had any regrets, it would be that. But one thing I can say about Meharry, it prepared me. I got better at taking them. But Valley could have, if I had taken it seriously, I could have probably gotten more prepared at Valley, in terms of taking standardized tests. They did everything else from, getting me prepared for in my coursework, but that was the only thing that I probably should have done, probably more so on my own, or, looked into like the different courses that they had to offer for that preparation. 'Cause I think that's what a lot of us have trouble with or struggle with, are the standardized tests.
So what would you recommend that the students do to get better? Do you think they should enroll in some of the courses, create study groups? I mean, what would you suggest?
Yeah, because I know some schools like Xavier, I think they offer Kaplan courses, and I think I have a daughter at Fisk. I think they have a Kaplan course that they offer to kind of prepare the students for, the DAT or the MCAT, those types of tests. Because they can be, I think the more you take them, the better prepared you are. I think they can be very intimidating if you haven't taken a lot of them. And so I just think just the repetition of taking different tests over and over again, and just learning, how to take them, and trying to do as well on those practice stages as you possibly can. I think the more you take, the better you prepare. So um, that's my take on it.
All right, thank you. Dr. Brown, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I agree with that. I think that standardized test was another thing, another pitfall that I had a problem. I think that we should probably start taking, if you have students that want to go to pharmacy school, medical school, I think they should start taking practice tests in their freshman year.
Exactly.
And make sure they go over the answers, question and the coursework relating to those questions. Because the more they do those questions, the better they're going to do on the test. So I know the summer program I went to my senior year, that helped me. I also happened. And some of these other schools that are pushing all these students in pharmacy and medicine, they have all these programs set up, and they start from day one. A lot of them start from the summer before they're freshmen.
All right, thank you. So we're moving to nearing the end of the hour. So I have a question, a closing question for all of you all. Two questions actually, and we can start with Dr. Markovitz, and then recognize someone else to answer. So, what is something you didn't like about the Valley experience when you were here, but in retrospect, some years later, you realize it was a great thing that happened? And what are you most proud of regarding your Valley experience? Dr.
Months. I need to think. Well, I guess I'll start with the first answer. Not necessarily, I wouldn't say that I didn't like something about Valley, but this experience that I've been through attending the conference, which was highlighted in my previous question, it was very intimidating, and I have so much fear to go to the conference, international conference for me, and to present my research work. So I can tell you that I was quite scared to do that. But later on, when this was accomplished and I presented as a oral presentation, as a matter of fact, so I was quite proud of what I did, and it's definitely prepared me for the next step. Again, I realized that it's quite important skills to have to overcome your fears and actually go up there and talk and present the work that you are doing. So this is definitely that. I learned from Valley.
Thank you. Mr. McLemore?
What I didn't like about Valley was all the mosquitoes on the band field, getting ate up, out there for hours and hours on end. I mean, I try to get used to it. I'm from the South, I'm used to mosquitoes, but for some reason they have just a I don't know what kind of mutant strain they have growing in the low lying areas near Valley, but they're like relentless. So that's one thing I really hated. But by far the best thing for Valley for me was having the opportunity to use those internships to travel to different parts of the country, Boston, Massachusetts, Florida, Oklahoma, and just to get a real feel for what others in my field and just like what they're doing and what they know and how you compare, and you really come back with a good feeling, you know. So that was by far the most thing that I loved about going to the Valley. Still helps me to this day. I'm still friends with some of these people to this day.
You can still fight off mosquitoes, right?
Yeah, I still can.
All right. Dr. Brown?
I know the one thing that I hated when I was at Valley is, you know how problems come up. You know, at Valley is always a problem, financial aid or something.
Come on, Dr. Brown.
Yeah, it was always something. But when I got to medical school and we came up with problems, I mean, you will be surprised how much people complain. And Valley told me that hey, mishaps are gonna happen. So I'm sitting back. I went through a lot worse. So it was fine. The one thing that Valley taught me was, hey, definitely. And I mean, the one thing that I'm proud of is finishing at Valley. Actually, I mean, I'm from the Delta, so I mean, I love my Mississippi Valley. And I got 2 boys and a daughter now, and I tell them about Valley every day. My 7-month-old has a Valley bean now that he wears every time he goes out. So.
All right, well, that's great. And Dr. Dixon?
You know, as everyone was talking, and I was trying to think of what was something that I just did not like about Valley. And unfortunately, I can say that there was not any bad experience that I had while I was there. Probably the thing that's the most memorable, and I've told this story many times when I've talked to other people, is that when it was the support that I had, and I think at the time Dr. Singh was the department chair, and he was I felt like he almost believed in me more than I believed in myself. And I remember when I was applying to dental schools, and it was like he was on the journey. He was more excited than I was. And I remember one of the schools that I applied to was in California. And I wasn't going to California for an interview. And he personally contacted them. And of course, we didn't have a Zoom and virtual interview, but he personally contacted them and arranged for me to do a phone interview. And I kept saying, well, if I get accepted, I'm not going to California. And his thing was do the interview anyway. And I did the interview. Of course, I got accepted, and of course, I didn't go. But to go that extra mile, and that's just one story. But there were stories on top of stories of people going above and beyond. So it wasn't just a job; it was a journey, and it was a journey together. And that's what that's to me, that's priceless. You don't get that everywhere. And when I talk with people that have gone to other schools, they don't necessarily get that. I think that's the uniqueness about HBCUs, but I think even with talking with people that have gone to other HBCUs, that was the thing about Valley that makes me proud to have gone to Valley. My grandmother graduated from Valley. My parents graduated from Valley. My niece graduated. So it was, there's nothing that Valley can ask of me and I don't try and do, because they gave so much to me that you can't put a price tag on.
Yeah, I agree. And so for the audience, if you do not know, I'm also a Valley of grad, and I share some of those same stories that Dr. Farmer Dixon shares. Dr. Singh was an amazing person.
Yes, he was.
He took 3 students, I was included. We went cross country to California, Dr. Dixon. We traveled and we stopped at schools along the way. Now, we had to come up with some of the finances, but we did. But he was insistent that he was going to introduce us to some opportunities and some schools and things that we had not seen. I mean, we kind of moaned about it along the way, But you know, in retrospect, it was a magnificent event, and it's just memorable. It's just memorable to say the least. So we definitely would like to thank you all for sharing. And for the audience, one last thing that many of the persons in the audience has asked is, would you be willing to connect with the students and to share and talk and mentor? And some students are interested in shadowing. I know that one of the things that we've already set up as part of this panel, Alum Talks, is that all of the mentors will have mentorship opportunities. And we're going to be working with the National Alumni to make it a virtual platform where you can set up an appointment time that is agreed upon by the panelists as well as the students, so that you can talk one-on-one with the panelists to get insight into various aspects of their career or just general advice. But students would also like to use this for, Dr. Copeland is no longer with us, Dr. Brown and Dr. Dixon, is about shadowing. Are you all open to shadowing it? And I don't know, Mr. McLemore and Markovitz, is that something that's available in your field? But if you're available to shadowing opportunities for our students.
I would say yes, absolutely. It may be logistically because I'm in Nashville, but you know, I know that people that are students that are at Mississippi Valley come from all over. But I'm more than happy to offer shadowing opportunities or to try and connect them with people in the Mississippi Delta area. I've done that before and will be happy to do that. But I'm happy to help in any way, to give guidance and suggestions as well.
Thank you. Dr. Brown? Okay, he's having technical difficulties. But again, we thank you all, and we're not going to hold you any longer, but we are going to bring to the screen before you leave Miss Alyssa Webb. And Miss Webb works out of the Office of Alumni Affairs, with our Alumni Affairs Engagement Coordinator. Good afternoon. Good morning, Miss Webb.
Good morning. Hello, everybody. My name is Alyssa Webb, and I am a class of 2019 graduate of Mississippi Valley State University. My position here at MVSU, as Dr. Newsom said, is the Alumni Engagement Coordinator, and I've been in this position for about a year and 4 months now. And I just want to give thanks on behalf of the Office of Alumni Affairs to everyone who joined today, and thank you for being engaged. I also would like to thank the panelists for taking time out of their busy schedules to be here and do this event. And most importantly, I would like to give thanks to the students. I hope by participating and joining this event, you got some inspiration and helpful tips for your future. And I hope we have more engagement on the alumni talks to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
And last but not least, I'd like to close out. Again, I am Abigail Newsom in the Office of Academic Affairs, and we would like to share our extreme thanks for all of our panelists for putting yourselves out there today to offer your stories. Oftentimes, it's refreshing to hear the stories, the horror stories, the good stories, whatever stories you have to share about other people's journeys, because it sometimes put our own journey into perspective. So as we close out today, let us go forth with intent and determination to do better, to seek additional opportunities. Let us go forward with a goal that is in sight, and remembering that MVSU is from where we came, from where we will always be, and never forget the need to pay it forward. Thank you all, and you all have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.